What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. You guys, we've been gone for a little minute. We put out a little video probably about a week ago or so, but we've been gone for a while because we have had some, I would say major issues with the truck. Not super major, but it's like intermediate major. And then it just started getting worse and worse and worse from there. So we had a rough couple of weeks, the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I just want to let y'all know the first thing that happened, and these things probably will happen to all truckers, you guys. So this is just to help people and inform people, and also to let y'all know what happened to us and what was going on with us. So the first thing is y'all know from the past videos that we got hit in the truck. The fender mirror, the fender mirror and the bumper got hit on the left side, driver's side. So I had to get that in the shop. Got it in the shop. We had to wait on the insurance check and all that good stuff. It took them about 2 or 3 days, about 3 days to get the truck fixed. And once they got it fixed, I was still waiting on the insurance check to come through. The adjuster said that he was gonna send the check through and all that good stuff, but it took them a while. And also we learned that we didn't have to go through our own insurance. We could have went through the other person's insurance. And but we're going through subrogation right now, but that's neither here nor there. But we was learning on that. So if y'all are owner operators, you got hit or something like that, I suggest don't go through y'all insurance. You gotta live and you learn, bro. I wish I would have never went through my insurance. I always go through their insurance, but you can also sue them as well, sue their insurance. And if subrogation doesn't go through for us, we're going to be more than likely suing his insurance. But like I say, subrogation, they're trying to get the money back right now. Hopefully they will. And if they don't in the next couple weeks, then we'll go from there. But yeah, we was down pretty much a whole week from there because they had to overnight the check, and he overnighted the check on a Thursday. No, he told me he was gonna send it on a Tuesday, but he ended up sending it on a Wednesday. And when he sent it, it took, it didn't. I forgot what it was. I think he sent it on a Wednesday, but it didn't overnight until like Thursday. And then it got delayed, so it didn't get there until that Monday. So it really set us back too much, bro. Way too much. And it just threw our whole plan off. So we had to regroup. We finally got the truck out of the shop and stuff like that. Then brake week was coming up right after that. And y'all know I've been battling an ABS light for a long, ABS traction control and I think it's stability for a while, y'all. I've been battling that for a long time, and I was like, bro, let me just go ahead and get that fixed, right? Because I'm at home. I just got the truck out the shop. It was already, at Kenworth. So I was like, okay, I'll just take it to Kenworth. The Kenworth I go to has a body shop and the maintenance side, the service side. So I was like, let me just take it over to service and get them to check it out. Had them check it out, right, y'all. Actually, I had another guy check it out first. His shop is not too far from the Kenworth. So I was like, okay, let me just go over there and get it checked out. He said he kept it for 2 days, y'all, and he didn't do a dang thing to it. All he did was, he said, I called him the first day that he had it. I dropped it off that morning, and I called him that evening. He said, oh, I wasn't able to get to it, yada, 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 yada. I was like, all right, cool. I'm patient, Called him the second day. Yeah, I won't be able to get to it until this evening. Called him that evening. He said, I hooked up the computer to it, and he said there's definitely an electrical issue. And he said I also owned out the sensors. The sensors are fine, but it's definitely an electrical issue. So I was like, man, let me just go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and pick it up. And I was debating. I was like, man, I was talking to Alicia. I don't know if I should take it back to Kenworth and let them look at it, or I should try to fool with it myself. So of course, I like to be hands-on with stuff. Y'all, I like to try to fix stuff myself before anything. So I tried working on it. Ended up, I tried to ohm out my harness and everything to see if I had a break in the wire or something. But I was ohming from the harness by the firewall back to the sensors, and I wasn't getting nothing, like no continuity. And I also ran me a jumper to the sensor that was the problem child, which it said on my performance tool, it said that it was the left rear, like left third axle. So I'm like, okay, let me test that, make sure ain't no break in there. Keep in mind, I did already replace the that sensor. After I left the shop, I went and picked up. After I left that first shop, I went and picked up the sensor that was saying that it was, replaced it, right? And so I'm thinking that Southern Tire Mart sensor was the wrong sensor or something like that. So I went and replaced it. You know, I was like, okay, well, he said the Southern Tire Mart sensor is good, but I'm like, let me just replace that sensor with an OEM Bennett's sensor. So I replaced the sensor, right? Came right back on. So I was like, okay, let me ohm out the harness. Wasn't getting nothing back there. Nothing. Like, I don't know what was going on. I ran a jumper to that sensor, and then, like, on the harness side, and then I did my meter up here up front, you know, had the black to the, I had the positive to the jumper side, and I was just ohming out, you know, the rest of the firewall harness side, the connector side. Wasn't getting nothing. So I'm like, bro, I don't know what it is. So I end up saying, okay, let me, and I know this is a very in-depth video for you guys, so if y'all don't like the technicalness of it or nothing like that, then click off. But if y'all like to see how I figured out what the problem was, and because y'all may be having the same problem, stay tuned. Okay, so I said I had the genius idea of trying to swap, you know, the sensors back there in the back. So I took the right sensor and the left sensor, and I swapped the harness side, you know, to each sensor, thinking that, okay, it might, you know, if the sensor is actually the problem, it'll follow, or there's a problem with the harness. Man, I took off driving, y'all. The problem was still on, right? And then I went up. I drove on my road only like a quarter mile, came back home, right? As soon as I parked the truck, I went into D-rate mode. Like, it was like some weird mode, I don't know. And the guy that came out to clear the code, which was the guy that I talked to before, the first shop I went to, he came out on a service call to clear the code. He said, I ain't never heard of that happening. So it was saying like erratic wheel speed sensor, a whole bunch of different stuff, you guys. And I'll put it in there what my tool was picking up. A whole bunch of erratic wheel speed sensor, and of course it makes sense because it was on the wrong wheel. It said over 99 miles per hour, crazy speed, yada yada yada, this and the third. So keep in mind, all this stuff is costing me money, bro. Like right now, I'm at probably, I had to go to him, pay him $200-300 the first time, and then got my truck out the shop. That was I had to pay $1,000 deductible, so I'm already at $1,200, and then had to call him out. You know, had to get that sensor. That was $80-some, and then had to call him out. So that was another what? So right now I'm in the high eight. I'm like $1,800-1,900, right? So then when he came out, he reset it. He charged me a road service thing. It was like $330. I was like, dang, bro, that's another. I'm at like $2,000 right now, just in and just dealing with this. Well, it ain't just dealing with the ABS. It was also the body shop. But I'm at $2,000 right now, you know, all in all, and I still ain't figured out the problem. So he said he think it may be my control module right up under the fifth wheel. You know, that's a three-piece component. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna replace that. So I went up to Kenworth and bought that left side. That was like, I think $300 for that left side. $200 or $300. I think it was $300 some dollars. So right now I'm looking at, you know, $2,500 that I'm spending. So I replaced that myself. Took off driving. The lights went away, y'all. The lights freaking went away. I was so happy, bro. I was so ecstatic, bro. I did that little half-a-mile run up on my road. Went up there. As soon as I pressed on the brakes and stopped, the light came back on. So I was so pissed off, bro. Like, so it stayed off. You know, everything was good. I was like, yes, that was the problem. That was the problem. Lights came right back on, y'all. So got back home. I was like, I don't know what to do, bro. I freaking don't know what to do. I don't replace that part. I don't replace, and so from there, I was like, bro, it must be. Let me just take it to them, right? So I took it to them. They checked it out. They said Kenworth said they owned the sensor and the sensors were bad. If they said, first of all, I got the wrong sensor. I got the sensor wrong. It wasn't the left third rear. It was the AA axle. So auxiliary additional axle, and the additional axle is my second axle. So my OTR performance tool told me the wrong thing. So anyways, they said I had the wrong axle. So they think that sensor is bad. He said he owned the sensor out, y'all. And then they gave me a quote on how much it'll be. They said it'll be $1,300 just to replace that sensor. I said, man, get out of my face, bro. And so I had to pay the diagnostics, which was $250 an hour, $260 an hour. It came out to be $600. So right now I'm pushing $3,000 that I've spent since I've been at home. And I was like, no, I'll just replace the sensor myself. So I came up there, got the truck out the shop, took it home. I purchased the sensor as well, took it to the crib. I was like, okay, let me jack it up. I got a 20-ton jack at the house, jacked it up, ohmed out the sensor. I had my pop tell me he was spinning the wheel while I was ohming the sensor out. The sensor was in range. I think OEM is supposed to be between 1,500 to 2,200 ohms, right? So the sensor was in range. It was perfectly fine. And I also did the AC test on it. It was between I started spinning it slowly. It was 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, maxing out about 4.4, right? Between 3 and 4. So I'm like, bro, this sensor is fine. What is he talking about? And he's talking about he cleaned the sensor off too. Man, that sensor was not clean. And I still got that sensor, y'all. I'm keeping that sensor because it was good. So pretty much Kenworth lied to me there, talking about it was the sensor. So y'all, the next day I was just so fed up. I changed, keep in mind, I did change out that sensor that that they said was bad. I changed that out and everything. So I'm confused. I called Kenworth back. I said, hey, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And I said I changed out the sensor and the light came right back on as well. Like I did what y'all told me to do. I changed out the sensor, test drove it, light came back on. They said, well, probably you didn't set the air gap properly. I think on the new Kenworths, you gotta set the air gap, right? But on my Kenworth, you don't have to set the air gap. You just gotta push in the sensor and it'll adjust itself, right? So I'm fed up with them. I'm pissed off at them. I'm like, bro, I'm just gonna get out there the next day. When y'all working on this stuff, always take a break, y'all, because y'all get to the point where you get stressed out. So I said, man, I'm just gonna get out there tomorrow. I'm just gonna start cutting zip ties off. I'm gonna start tracing that harness down. I'm gonna find the problem. Like it's either a break somewhere or something, because all the sensor on good. My tone rings ain't bad. Everything's good. Because if my tone ring was bad, my sensor wouldn't be picking up on what's going on, right? So I done start cutting zip ties off, crawling up on the truck, following that harness down from the sensor that they said was bad, following my harness, cutting the zip ties, everything. End up finding the freaking problem, y'all. I found the problem. And I'm gonna put a picture of what the problem was right here in the screen. So I had my torque rods replaced about a year ago when I first bought the truck, because before I leased on to this company, they said my torque rods were bad. Had those replaced. And the guy that replaced them did not put the little, I don't know what that cover is, you know what I'm saying, to keep metal from cutting in the wires. He didn't put it back on. I ended up putting it back on and everything like that, right? So the torque rod, the part that mounts onto the frame, was digging into the harness, and it rubbed the wires raw. Like some of the wires, like they were just breaking through. It rubbed them all the way down. So I was like, bro, I said, I bet you that's my freaking problem, bro. That's my freaking problem. So I was talking to my pops too. He was like, yeah, that's probably a problem. So I took it and I wrapped up that wire with electrical tape, right? Wrapped it up with electrical tape. I came in the truck, turned on the truck. The sensor, all the lights went out. Every light went out. So I'm like, okay, I'm making some progress. You gotta make some good progress. Took it for a test drive. Everything was good. Everything was good. Drove it a little bit further than just on my road. Everything was freaking good, y'all. So that was the freaking problem, y'all. So $3,000 something later, I figured out what the problem was, y'all. So if y'all having electrical issues and y'all done changed out the sensors and everything and all that good stuff, bro, you have a wire touching metal somewhere. And I didn't know, learning, my first time. It could have been a lot worse. If I would have took it back to them, they quoted me $1,300 and that light came back on. Guess what, y'all? I would have to take it back to them and I would be like, hey, the light's still on. They're gonna charge me another $2-3 grand saying that this, and the third, and they were gonna have to cut all those zip ties off and trace it down to the same thing that I did. Y'all try to take things in y'all own hands as much as possible, because these dealerships, they gonna cutthroat you. They gonna run you dry, dog. They gonna run you dry. But I'm happy that ended up being the problem. It took me going through all that. It took me another whole week. So like I told you, we was down like 2 or 3 weeks, y'all, trying to figure out like what's going on and stuff right now. Like right now, I'm 800 miles away from the house, and no code has popped back up, you guys. No ABS code has popped up, no nothing. Like I said, I wrapped it up with electrical tape real good, and I also put that cover back on it, and I also took it away. So there's like a little flexible bracket. If you got a Kenworth and you done worked on your harness before, there's like a flexible bracket that zip ties. You know, you hook up the harness to it and you put a zip tie on it. And so I took that flexible bracket and I bent it down some so that wire is not hugging that torque rod mount. So y'all, like I say, we got to the bottom of it. Everything good now. It was just a rough couple of weeks, spending a whole bunch of unnecessary money when I really could have just got out there and cut all the zip ties off myself, and I could have dug into it and really tried to figure out what's going on. But you live and you learn, y'all. I hope y'all I can help y'all. You know what I'm saying? If y'all having that ABS problem and you don't replace the sensors and stuff, get out there, cut your zip ties off, and try to trace where that I know you got airlines right there too. Just be careful. Try to trace down what that problem is, y'all. And also, one last thing. So y'all, we was trying to get back on the road, right? And this video is long, y'all, I know. But I was like, okay, let me go ahead and, since we at home, got all this home time, let me go ahead and do my APU, right? I was like, let me go ahead and change the oil and stuff on it, because it's been almost a year. And I was like, bro, I ain't even changed the oil on this bad boy, or the filters and stuff. So I went up there, you know, Kenworth, got the little APU, the filter kit. You know, and then I had to buy some oil too, 15W30, yeah, that normal stuff, right? So I'm like, okay, I knew that my problem was gonna be priming the APU. If y'all got a tri-pack, y'all know it's hard to prime them, you know. So I'm like, that's gonna be my problem. So, but I'm like, okay, as long as I put fuel in the fuel filter and also that strainer filter, I cleaned that one with some carburetor cleaner and stuff like that. The small filter right there by the fuel pump. I cleaned that one and I filled it up with fuel before I put it on to minimize as much air as possible. And also the regular fuel filter, I filled that one up with fuel as well to minimize the problem, the priming problem. So got them both put back on, got the oil in there, oil changed, got the air filter, the cabin air filter changed out. Everything was good, right? Went to crank it up and it would not crank, y'all. It would not start. It would not, like, it would be one to start, and then it'll start, it'll be like do. It'll be running hard, like super hard. So I was like, okay, let me crack open the ejectors to see if that'll prime it. So I was cracking open the injectors. This took me a whole day, y'all. I was cracking open the injectors, trying to get all the air out the system. It started running better, but it would run for good. It ran good for 4 to 5 minutes. And then it ended up bogging down again, started do. I'm like, bro, I don't know what's going on. So I said, let me just take it up there to them, to Thermo King. I did not want to, but if I can't figure it out, let me just, I'll at least try it, you know what I'm saying? So I took it to them. They charged me, they said there was the fuel pump, y'all. They ended up charging me like $700-800, y'all, to replace the fuel pump. The fuel pump was bad, and I could have did it myself, but it was already up there, and I was like, bro, I got to get back on the road. So if it's messed up, if they do it and it's messed up, I can just get it warranty. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, I'd rather just let them go ahead and knock it out. So they end up knocking it out, right? And like I said, it cost me $800 to $1,200, and what I'm talking about, $1,200, $700 to $800, y'all. I've been dealing with money so much the last couple of days. It's just like, you know what I mean? But it was the fuel pump, and they got it fixed. It still has a little bit of a leak to it. The fuel pump wasn't fitting, so I could tighten it up, but I got a little time with my hands tomorrow. I'm just gonna stop in there and have them tighten it up because y'all messed it up. So I'm letting y'all, it's y'all doing it. I don't gotta roll on the ground. Y'all can do it, you know what I'm saying? But y'all, this is the type of stuff that happens when you have a truck and you own a business. You have little BS stuff that happens that you got to get fixed, and it can add up. It can definitely add up, but I learned a lot. That's the main thing, y'all, just learning. I'm not taking it to Kenworth unless I necessarily have to take it to Kenworth. I can troubleshoot a lot of stuff on my own, and like I did, I figured out what the problem was. It was a wire, the harness was rubbing into the dang frame, or the the torque rod mounts. But we got it figured out, y'all. We are back to rolling. Hopefully we can get these videos keep pumping out for y'all. It was the video a little bit longer, I believe. It was like 10-20 minutes, but thank y'all for watching. I'm gonna keep y'all updated. Got some more videos for y'all in the future. So yeah, peace.